Welcome to Let's Brick It Out, right here with the Vickie Vypre spaceship. Another episode dedicated to another part of this build, specifically the engines. There's a lot of clip and bar going on, some really cool stuff. So roll that intro. So here we are with engines. Engines, 3 parts to this engine. Now the first part I'm going to show you is the output or the flames or whatever you want to call it. And this is taken, pretty much stolen from my 9-year-old small art director. So he rated all of the claw elements that are in translucent blue and stacked them together with these octagonal pieces. So there's these bar elements, they come in 8 sides, they've got a bar on all 8 sides, and then they make a 2x2 pattern. What he did is clip them all together and made what I call the awesome blossom. Now what I did is reversed the direction first of all on this last piece. And if you can see that, but this is a 2x2 round tile with a bar hole in it. I put a translucent blue lightsaber or wand blade in there, 4-length. And one of the material properties of the translucent is it's not ABS. Okay? It is a different material that has a much stronger clutch. So one thing you'll notice that LEGO designers can never do is bind a translucent piece to a translucent piece using a bar method, because once you get them together they're almost impossible to get out there. And so in this case I couldn't take this apart to show you any further. Once I put that in there, it's pretty much locked in and clutched 9 ways to Sunday. What I did is use the same translucent blue. So there's 3 of these stacked. They have 2x2 plates round in between them, so it's going to be that octagonal bar piece, plate, round, so on and so forth. So there's 3 of them stacked together. I then put translucent blue and then translucent orange for that last claw end right there. The reason I like the use of color is if you've ever looked at flames and lasers, the highest energy states are ultraviolet, which then goes to violet or purple. So my reactor is going to be purple, and as you get warmer down the color temperature line, the temperatures are cooler. So that's why coals or embers are a deep red, flames are orange to yellow, and then torches are light blue, or if you look at spaceship rockets, they're usually a very light blue. And so there's a lot of energy being released, and then it cools down into the warmer colors as you go outward. I wanted to mimic that natural thing in my build, so it's starting with light blue. The reactor is a purple or violet, and then this little gem is part of a reactor. I've done this before. I put a pow stud, a gem in it, and then I have one of these domes, these translucent domes, but this one's molded in glitter. So I'm going to have a little power dome on there, and then I can then take the awesome blossom, and I'm just to show you the clip pattern. I left one side unclipped so you can see that. The first thing I'm going to do is just fold it down to get out of the way. And eyeballing it, I want to make sure I'm right in the middle of that bar because I'm a perfectionist. And then once that dome is in there, I can take and push all of these so they're touching each other, just like so. And that forms the awesome blossom. Check that out. What a gorgeous shape. Woohoo! Now I'm going to finish that off with a purple flame piece because this is going to be a very, very fast ship. So the flames surrounding the outside are, you know, light blue going to orange, but the main flame is going to be purple. And then the cone here, in order to carry this sparkle molding through, is a glitter cone in purple. I'm going to go ahead and show you something that Small Art Director didn't do. So there are different types of claws. I've shown you 2 of them. Another one, which is a bit rarer, is a claw that I think I saw mostly in Bionicle. So I went to Bricks and Minifigs and managed to pull a bunch of them out over time. And here's that octagonal piece in case you couldn't see it before. Okay, so clipped it in. Now these are a nice dark metallic gray, like a gunmetal metallic. What I'm going to do is, instead of continuing the pattern like that, I'm going to turn this, and that's why I reversed the pattern order, is now I can take what looks like metallic structure and wrap it right between the others. And then, because this is now in the way, if I open it up, this one's going to hit that, and I can come back and now back everything out just a touch so that the viewer, if they want, can see that gem in the dome, and it's not as covered up as the Awesome Blossom where it's closed. So a little bit of tweaking there, and then I want to finish it off with a dish in translucent blue, another 2x2 round plate, and just sort of snap that in when it lines up. There I go. So this is the rear part of the engine. That's now finished. I'm going to do the reactor next. So I love these purple alien pods. They are super sweet, and I love them as reaction chambers. I talked about how high energy state is purple. Now they do have a bit of a problem because they're pods. They have the anti-studs on the bottom, and then no real way to stud in there. You see how it's completely smooth? But there is an axle hole, which means that there's a slight recess for me to drop a stud in there. So one clever idea is on the interior of the reactor. I'm going to show you this piece. It's that same 2x2 round tile with a little stud with an opening. I talked about the Apollo studs have an opening. This is the same idea. Now because this has a stud, I can force that in the bottom, and that gives me a little bit of an opening right here. Now what's really cool is these gems that I'm most familiar with, Chima gems, I don't know what else to call them. If you look, they have a stud on top, right there, and they have these protrusions, but because this has a slot for the stud acceptors, when you put that in there, the gem protrusions just happen to fit into that open slot, and they allow you to stud in. From there, there's a 1x1 stud in trans neon green with 3 dishes stacked together. And if I carefully drop that in there and pay attention to get everything lined up, there you go. I can press really hard, and look at that. Those dishes are now completely flush, so that when I snap that together, it's perfection. Now this is buried so deep in the model, most people wouldn't even notice this extra detail work and Lego math that went into it, but luckily you're here for Let's Brick It Out, so you get to see the stuff that goes into these models that just can't be shown off. So I've made these pods before, and I've built an enclosure before, but I wanted to do a tutorial on it. I always want to do a tutorial. So once again, there's an octagonal bar piece, another 2x2 plate, 2x2 plate, As you can see, I'm always separating it. Now here, these are droid arms from Star Wars in silver. So I'm doing metallics once again to kind of give it that mechanical framing feel. And there's a handlebar. I repeat that 4 times. And this is purely cosmetic. If I lay these flat, the handlebars are close enough to touching where I get the styling of a structure that's holding the energy pod in place. Now over here, I've done the same thing to give it some scaffolding, but here I've got the Exo-Force robot arms. These are a clip piece that's really useful. And then I've got the umbrella stand, the 6 long bars jammed into each end. And what I will do is very carefully do my math, lock that together, come back, and if I've worked it all out, I can clip, clip. Oops, see, this one's not forced far enough in. Got to get those bars all the way in to make the math work out perfectly. Clip, come back, make sure everything is centered. And this one is now the structural bind to keep these two halves together. So I'm not just relying on that little lock. I'm using clips and a bar and another clip in 4 directions to lock the two halves together. And look at that, the little gaps in between those handlebars has now been visually closed up by those other bars, giving this the industrial look that I want. So that's another part of the engine down. I've got the energy core. That'll go on there. Last part of the engine is a little doohickey that I threw together. I've always loved these macaronis. I had them lying around. I thought it'd be cool. A hot rod would have, big tubing coming around it. So nothing really too special other than using cylinders, 2 plates in between to make the math work out. Let me pull off. This is where the magic happens right here. So these are the hands of those Exo-Force robots. These are a clip element with a bar on the end. Hopefully you can see that. Apollo stud. I think on every single one of these you're going to hear the term Apollo stud. And of course it went flying off the table, so here it is. It's a 1x1 round plate, and the stud part has a hole in it to receive a bar. These pieces I bricklink the heck out of, because I can put bar elements in. I've now created my own clip into a macaroni. The macaronis, of course, have an anti-stud or receptacle end, and the cheat from earlier videos is to use this great tire hub. The tire hub, normally you'd lock that and lock that into like a scooter body or a bicycle or whatever. Instead, those little dimples are getting ignored, and it's the rim piece right here is a half stud. So as long as you have an opening to allow this to get in there, I can now have a male-to-male or stud-to-stud on each side connection. And there you go. And then you work the math out. If you had 2 plates and 2 bricks, I can come in there, click, click, and it's not totally perfect, but the math is close enough to where it's going to look great to the casual convention observer. Maybe even a seasoned AFOL wouldn't even notice that. These openings are for the wings, and this is where the tail gets attached. So more on that later. But if I assemble this now, I'm going to take the reactor, join that in, and the back piece will come on just like that. I'm not going to snap it all together, because as I put this into the body of the spaceship, I have to do it in 3 steps. But that gives you an idea of the engine of the Vickie Vypre. So there we are done. Yay, yay us. All right, so hopefully, once again, you've learned some things, you've seen some cool things, you have some elements that you want to go out and research or purchase, bricks and pieces, Bricklink, bricks and minifigs, however you get your pieces, and have a great day. If you liked this video and you learned something from it, or you know of another AFOL that would appreciate this, go ahead and tell them about it. Have them come on over and take a look-see, take a peeky peek, and let Moto show you what's going on. Have a great day. Bye.
And there we go, finishing up the engines. Hopefully this was instructional and you liked it. I had a good time putting it together. It's a bit of a struggle, but I want you all to play well.